Our story begins during the 30-Year War happening in Europe, and a lot of civil wars and rebellions were happening there, some of the more popular ones being in England. It was with the King of Parliament trying to figure out who would control what in government. The death of Queen Elizabeth I ended the Tudor dynasty, and the ending the Tudor dynasty started the Stuart dynasty, with their first ruler, James I, Elizabeth's cousin. James believed that he received the power from God, aka the divine right of kings. Parliament didn't think that much about it, because everyone just assumed that monarch and parliament ruled England together. Religion was also a big issue too. Puritans, who were Protestants in England, inspired by Calvinist ideas. Puritans didn't like the king defending the Church of England, even though they were members, they wanted it to be more Protestant. And more of England landowners had become Protestant as well, so they formed the House of Commons, which is the lower house of Parliament, because they didn't think it was wise to alienate them because they might rise up against them. But the main conflict began during the reign of James's son, Charles I. Charles believed in the divine right of kings. In 1628, Parliament passed a Petition of Rights, which limited the king's power to tax and imprison people without a cause, quarter troops, and initiate martial law. Charles passed it, but he later ignored it because he realized how much limit it had on his power. Charles tried to impose more ritual on the Church of England, which made Puritans move to North America, which is why we had a lot of settlers at the time, and which is why we have a lot of people in our country. But anyway, Calvineers, supporters of the king, and Roundheads Parliament forces, a civil war broke out between them, and Parliament won because of the new model army made by Oliver Cromwell, who was a very, very, very smart military genius. And Cromwell's soldiers were well trained in the military tactics of the 1600s, and Cromwell purged anyone who didn't support him. Cromwell even executed King Charles on January 30th, 1649, which horrified most of Europe. Parliament went on to abolish the monarchy in the House of Lords and declared England a Commonwealth, a type of republic. Cromwell found it hard to work with any of them and finally broke it up and set up a military dictatorship. Cromwell ruled until his death in 1658, and the army became a monarchy after realizing how unpopular it was in the 1600s with Charles II, the son of Charles I. So, Charles II, over here, he thought it was all over, but the restoration wasn't done. Parliament kept the piece of government that they wanted and continued to play an important part of government. The idea that Parliament must give consent to taxation was also accepted. Charles pushed out his ideas, which were way too out of step with many English people. Charles was also sympathetic to Catholicism, and James, Charles's brother and an heir to a throne, was also sympathetic with Catholicism, but not as much as Charles. Charles suspended the laws Parliament made against Catholics and Puritans after the restoration of the monarchy. Parliament then made a law saying that only Anglicans, members of the church, could hold office. To receive more suspicion, near his death, Charles I decided to convert to Catholicism. Since Charles II didn't have any son, James became king in 1685. James was an open and devout Catholic. He even gave Catholics high positions in government, army, and navy. Religion became a cause of conflict again between the kings and parliaments. Parliament wanted to stop him but decided not to because he was old, and they realized that his daughters, Mary and Anne, would just succeed him. But James and his second wife had a son, and the son was Catholic, which increased the chance of England becoming a Catholic country again. So, wanting some change, some English noblemen wanted William of Orange to invade England. Now, William of Orange wasn't going to do it, but then he realized that he doesn't like France that much, so he could use England to fight France. And James realized William's plan, so James's troops tried to fight William's troops at Torpey before they got to England. But James lost, and James decided to retreat to France with his wife and son. With almost no bloodshed, England had undergone a glorious revolution. William accepted the chance to become King of England and also the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights set forth Parliament's chance to make laws and levy taxes. The Toleration Act also happened, and it's exactly what it sounds like. This law gave Puritans, but not Catholics, the right of free public worship. This also meant less people would be executed for religion, which is pretty good. And Parliament finally destroyed the divine right of kings too, so whoop-dee-doo.